I went through the 5 Power 5 conferences and just picked out one team that I think is going to be in that position at least to make a huge jump forward in 2023. I want to preface it with this. I am not picking next year's TCU. I'm not predicting any of these teams to go play for the college football playoff. Heck, I'm not even picking any of these teams necessarily to go and win their conference, though they could very much so be capable of that. I'm talking about teams that had a decent year last year, some not so decent year, in terms of improvement. That's what we're really trying to gauge here. So let's start with the Big Ten. It's no secret, I like Wisconsin. I like Wisconsin a whole heck of a lot. Luke Fickell knows how to win games. I'll be real with y'all. I have a crush on Wisconsin. Let's not make it weird. Let's just keep this thing moving. For me, Wisconsin is all about the formula that's being tweaked in Madison. I trust the new formula they're going to go with. Because think about what Wisconsin has been historically. 3 tight ends, playing with fullbacks. You have visions of neck rolls on the offense at the fullback and tight end position that comes to mind. Like, that's kind of the identity of what they've been previously. Now, the good news is for Wisconsin fans, I don't think that identity is going anywhere. They're still going to be physical. They're still going to want to absolutely beat the ever-living snot out of you. That's going to be what they still want to do. However, like I said, the formula is being tweaked, so you take another element of the aerial assault that Phil Longo's bringing to the table, that Tanner Mordecai's bringing to the table. You went and hauled in quite a few transfer portal wide receivers. You bring that to the table. So now what does that mean? Physical identity plus wanting to sling the ball around the yard a fair amount. What does that mean? It means you have an opportunity to be balanced. And balanced football teams play complementary football, and they usually win a lot of football games. So last year, Wisconsin, they won 6 games in the regular season. Luke Fickell showed up, won a bowl game. To be real, he's undefeated at Wisconsin, never lost so far. I think the formula change works. I would not be surprised if we saw Wisconsin win somewhere around 9 games in 2023. Keep in mind, too, the Big Ten West is wide open. It is as open as it gets. I think Wisconsin, they have a very real chance to make some noise in that side of the division and potentially make some noise within that conference. So I like Wisconsin to be one of my riser teams and to be the team that makes the biggest leap, for my money at least, in the Big Ten. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Pickell. Appreciate y'all rocking with us, okay? Listen, the SEC is a beast of a conference. No easy weeks in the SEC. Kirby Smart talked about it. It felt like every single press conference, whether they beat Kentucky on the road or whether they drubbed another team at home, every single week. It's tough in the SEC. So who do we have to look a little bit closer at for who could make a jump in 2023? Y'all, we're going right back to College Station, Texas. Jimbo Fisher and company, they won 5 games in 2022, but here's where I stand with Texas A&M. You can only keep talent down for so long. It's only a matter of time until talent eventually figures it out, puts it together, and then goes and does what talent is capable of doing. In short, Texas A&M has a lot of pieces. I think it's a matter of time before they put them together. Now, some of y'all are saying, whoa. Were you not watching the transfer portal and all the guys that jumped up out of College Station, Texas A&M? I hear you. I'm with it. I saw that. But here's the deal. Since 2020, Texas A&M has recruited the number 6 class, the number 8 class, the number 1 class, and then last year the number 15 class. In short, there's a lot of talent still on that roster, guys that haven't transferred out. So with 77% of the defensive production returning that allowed 23 points a game, sprinkling a quarterback that could be that guy in Connor Wegman, and then also you add Bobby Petrino to the mix, a little chiropractor protocol, just a little bit of a tweak here, tweak there, and bam, A&M's a new team. That could be the difference. So for A&M, 5 wins last year. Would not be surprised in the slightest if they made a 2 to 3 win jump and finish this upcoming season 8-4. I think that's very realistic. So Texas A&M is my jump team, my riser team, my leap year team in the SEC. We're going to stay in the Lone Star State. We're going to head to the Big 12. And we're going to make our way over to Lubbock, Texas. Somebody else saying Lubbock, Texas. Texas Tech, yep. The Red Raiders, 7 wins last year, plus a bowl win against SEC team Ole Miss. Now, they're not just all hype right now, okay, because they had wins against Texas. Like I said, they had a win against Ole Miss. They bring back 75% of the production on the offensive side of the ball. Tyler Shuck, not Tyler Show, Tyler Shuck. I expect to be playing quarterback for them game 1. Here's the thing, man. With Texas Tech, they will go to war for Joey McGuire. That's the kind of coach he is. That's the kind of culture they've cultivated over there. That's the kind of feel I get when I talk about Texas Tech and what I've seen from them on the field. And culture is a funny thing because we talk about it a lot with South Carolina too. It's just tough to account for, man. You don't get to pull up a roster and look at how many guys they have with stars next to their name and say, yep, that's culture. No. Culture, I think, starts with the head coach and then is personified by the team. I think there's a lot of belief right now at Texas Tech. I think they're up to something. And I think we start to see some of those dividends in 2023. Like I said, they won 7 games in 2022. Keep an eye on the Red Raiders. I would not be surprised if we see them compete at least for the Big 12 title. This is one of those teams that I think is very, very sneaky, kind of a sleeper team. We're not predicting it, but I'm just saying keep an eye on them in that Big 12 title race because TCU and Kansas State played for it a year ago. That should show you just how gladiator style that conference is. Also, keep an eye on that Week 2 game. Oregon comes to Lubbock, Texas. There's a lot of smoke around Oregon being a college football playoff team and Bo Nix saying run that back and Dan Lanning building a program. Got to go to Lubbock, Texas. And this Texas Tech team, I'll tell you what, they do not care about whatever's being said about you in the preseason. I'm very excited to see what goes down Week 2. Should be a great litmus test for Texas Tech. So for me, they're my riser team within the Big 12. Put on the shades. Head out to the beach in Coral Gables. Miami is my riser in the ACC. Now, listen, they had 5 wins a season ago. I think it's starting to come together. You look at what they did through the portal, added some key pieces on the O-line. We'll probably play a freshman at right tackle in Francis Mauigoa, who is a 5-star kind of player. I think the pieces now are more in place in Coral Gables. And I'll also say this, let's leave Tyler Van Dyke alone. So many people dogging this dude and saying he's this, that, and the other. Leave Tyler Van Dyke alone because those same people that are down on him were keeping it zip lips the year before when he was throwing for 20-plus touchdowns and single-digit interceptions. He's proven he can play the position. Now you bring in a new OC in Shannon Dawson, a little more of an air raid approach offensively, some more power concepts, running the football. It's just a matter of time for me, at least, when it comes to Mario Cristobal and his identity and his persona, which is tough, no nonsense, culture, discipline, detail-oriented, all those things that Miami, I think, was still getting acclimated to in 2022. You pair that with the number 15 portal class, I think the jump in record could be paralleled with the progress I think they're going to make from an identity standpoint under Mario Cristobal. Also, the ACC, I know there's a lot of good teams in there. North Carolina's making a run. Florida State's making a run. Clemson, can never count them to be down. And they weren't down last year. They won the whole conference. Could they repeat with a new quarterback? I'm just saying I think that's maybe a little bit more open than folks want to give credit for. And with the talent acquisition they had this past cycle as well, just keep an eye on Miami. I'm just saying that. They had 5 wins a year ago. Again, 2 to 3 wins. I would not be surprised if they were a 7-8 win football team and playing for a bowl game this coming season. I think you expect that if you're in Coral Gables. So this last one was not easy to do. God bless the Pac-12, man. Love the Pac-12. Grew up in Pac-12 country. Grew up going to USC games before we moved to the Southeast. Like I've sort of been all over during my life, but I really got to know college football on the West Coast. And it's hard to pick a team that's going to really make a big jump in 2023 because I think the top of the Pac-12 is really pretty solid. I think USC, Utah, Oregon, Washington, your top 4. I don't see those 4 really budging too much from the upper tier of that conference. So then you look across the rest of the conference and say, well, who could make a jump? Colorado, I feel like, is just inevitably going to make a jump. They won 1 game a season ago. Feels like low-hanging fruit, so we're not going to touch that right now. We've talked a lot about Colorado. But a team that I think could make a jump from 3 wins to being bowl eligible is the Arizona State Sun Devils. They're under new management. Coach Kenny Dillingham, I believe, is one of the youngest, if not the youngest, head coach in college football. And they got 27 new transfers. 27 new transfers. We talk a lot about Colorado and them flipping over the roster. How about Arizona State flipping over the roster? We won 3 games last year. Not good enough. Knock it all down. Rebuild the foundation. Let's roll. I think it's very realistic to assume they could go from 3 wins to 6 wins. Now, Drew Pine, you remember Drew Pine? He was at Notre Dame, hit the portal, now with Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. I expect him to be your starting quarterback. I'm curious to see how quickly this all comes together. Because, again, I don't think there's going to be anybody making a play here for the Pac-12 title from Tempe, Arizona, but just keep an eye on Arizona State. Could be a subtle but pretty substantial improvement for them when it comes to win total. So my riser teams, for those of y'all keeping track at home on the bingo card, in the Big Ten we got Wisconsin, the SEC we got A&M, in the Big 12 we got Texas Tech, in the ACC we got Miami, and in the beautiful conference that is the Pac-12 we got Arizona State. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.